Hey guys, I'm LaKrista with Unscripted, where we're breaking the system, finding root causes, and exposing the lies you've been prescribed. Let's jump in. Welcome back to Unscripted. Today we're here with Jamie Bennett, and she runs the E.R.I.C Cancer Playbook FECO program, and she's going to tell us all about cannabis and the research and how it is helping with cancer. So, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, when we met for dinner, you were telling me all about your backstory. So, tell us a little bit about that and how you got into cannabis.
So I am a 20-year patient myself. I have endometriosis, and I was battling infection after infection when I stumbled across full extract cannabis oil and started taking it for myself, and my quality of life drastically increased. And I knew that if it was working for me, that I had to be working for other people. So my journey started as just kind of an advocate going into the industry, asking people for their stories, collecting stories, and then knowing that there were other people out there who wanted to help, other businesses that wanted to help cancer patients. So we all kind of grouped together and came up with the FECO program at the time, which was much different than what it is now.
Right.
But the FECO program at the time to help cancer patients
So,
get access.
I didn't even know that it helped with endometriosis. So, does it just help with the pain aspect or actually with the disease itself?
No, it actually helps with the disease itself.
Okay.
So with endometriosis, you end up with, adhesions and masses and other complications. So it helped with the pain. It helped with the nausea. It battled the sepsis infections that came from
All the adhesions and,
yeah,
and inflammation and everything. Yeah. So, how old were you when you started? Because I know you had endometriosis when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
And so, what age did you start using the FECO?
I didn't start using it until Oklahoma became legal. So that was 8 years ago.
Okay.
About then.
Okay. Explain how FECO is different from just going in. There's like spots on every corner now where you can go in and get marijuana. So how is FECO different from just, what you can buy at the...
So if you're if you're out of dispensary and, you buy an edible, most of the time those are made with distillates, which are, isolated THC, high THC content with very low other cannabinoids or terpenes. With a full extract cannabis product, it's all the value of the plant. So you're getting like the high terpenes, you're getting the other cannabinoids, and it helps bring your body more into a homeostasis and supplying your body with the other resources that it needs, because you need more than just THC.
It's kind of what we talk about with full, food-based supplement products. I'm like, you can take vitamin C or a B vitamin or something, but Standard Process is a brand that I really love because it's food-based. And I'm like, it's just different when you get your nutrients from a food source because it has all the other stuff with it that makes it more bioavailable to your body. Your body can actually utilize it better. So it's the same thing like with FECO. Things work better when it is in combination with how it's found in nature.
Yep.
So tell me how the cancer program has evolved, because you said it was definitely different.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know with Jim, and now it's evolved into something totally different.
So we first started this, my original partner, this was Jeremy Dedman. And, we were talking about like, how can we help cancer patients? We were really unorganized, but it was a beautiful program at the same time. And we were dropping off grams of full extract cannabis oil at dispensaries and kind of letting the dispensaries choose who it goes to. It was kind of a free for all. We weren't collecting any information off of it. It was just like a do well program. And
we just know it helps get it out.
We just know it helps get it out. And, people at that time it was new industry. So people were excited and people wanted to donate, and they wanted to donate product. And this is how it just like kind of bloomed. Well, we gave away over 20,000 grams of full extract cannabis oil and realized that we didn't have one full cancer journey story of like how it
no data
helped. Yeah. So unfortunately, Jeremy shut down his company, which is what we were running the company off of. And then we had a fun little like bounce from processing license to processing license to keep this program going until I stumbled upon Jim cancer, which is my partner in this, an amazing man.
Love Jim.
Yeah. he's the character. Like,
Yeah.
he sat us down and he was like, hey, we really need to start collecting some patient-reported outcomes on this. Like, if you're
And that's
gonna
his passion.
Yeah, it's his passion.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're going to continue to do this program, like, first of all, I want in. I want help. And I want this to start collecting data so that it can be used for, you know, larger visions.
And studies and research. And,
Yep.
Yeah. So how did y'all get all of that put into place? Like, what does it look like now? So I know y'all, before they pick up the FECO, they fill out a survey, and then every so often fill that out with, like, symptoms and...
Yeah, so what we have everybody do is start a playbook. When they fill out their profile survey, we have some really cool benefits to that. In that survey, they have an option of meeting with one of the cannabis clinicians and having a consultation. We have an algorithm from some research that we have done, which I'll dive into that in a couple minutes, that will pull the cancer type and the symptoms that they're experiencing and kick out an automatic playbook for that patient that is filling out the survey. So they get
nice.
They get data. They immediately they get data. And then from there, they can choose one of the locations to pick up from, because, you know, this is still a medical industry and we have to go through dispensaries. So you'll choose the location that's closest to you, and we send you out a reservation. You're able to go pick up the product, and then every 7 days we send an email checking in on you. How much are you taking? How are you feeling? Do you have any updates that you want to share with us? And do you need more product?
Yeah. So typically it's like $7 a gram. Is that right? Or how much is it typically outside the program versus with the program?
Outside, in this industry at this time, it's probably between $25 and $30 a gram.
Okay. And through y'all, it's like $7.
Yep.
Right.
When
Okay.
we first started this, it was closer to $60 a gram in
Oh
Oklahoma.
my gosh.
So,
Through the industry, it was
Yeah.
like 60.
yeah.
But so y'all provide it for $7, which is basically just covering processing.
Yeah, we do. So at this point, in Oklahoma, our Colorado program is a little bit different, but in Oklahoma, it's a $10 for 7 grams.
Okay. For $10 for 7 grams?
Yes.
That's drastic. Yeah, that's crazy. So that's huge because people with cancer, it's such a financial burden.
Yeah.
Because especially people that are going the holistic route, of course, your insurance pays for nothing. And so when they're coming in and they're getting ozone and vitamin C and all this stuff, they're paying out of pocket for all these supplements. And if they're doing hyperbaric chambers, a lot of these people do all of it.
Yeah.
Especially if they're opting out of traditional treatment. And that can get really expensive. So
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful program. So, like, it wouldn't work without the processing company that we have. Dauntless, they're amazing. They've got a great product, and they have committed to profit free. So they handle everything at cost. And the dispensaries that we work with, they do everything at, like, profit free as well. So nobody has a markup on anything. Nobody's charging a markup to be able to keep those costs down for the cancer patients. It's a beautiful thing that the community came together and did.
that's awesome. So tell me about the AI stuff that it's generating for specifically for the different types of cancers.
Okay, so, as we collect data, we de-identify data, and all data goes back into the collective, our database. And then our algorithm is able to pull, it's like we wrote an algorithm that pulls from research and patient-reported outcomes. On the research side of this, our team published a meta-analysis on the effects of cannabis and cancer. We pulled together 10,000 studies and did a consensus on it and published a paper on it. And we also took all that data that we used to write that consensus and tagged it and put it into a database for the algorithm to pull out of.
So whether they have like breast cancer or melanoma or what it is, it's going to tell them
If there's
specifically what to do.
Well, it'll tell you not necessarily what to do, but it'll tell you what other people did that was successful.
So is that just in regards to the cannabis or other things that they're doing as well?
We give you highlights of everything that's been done. So,
Okay.
like, obviously our emphasis, obviously our emphasis is on how cannabis has worked, but in those patient-reported outcomes, we are asking them, are you trying other integrative forms of cancer treatment?
Right.
Some of them are on chemo, some of them are using radiation. What we're finding with those patients is that there's a lot of side effects that come from chemo and radiation, and the full extract cannabis oil is helping them manage those side effects. And I mean, it's amazing. Like when you look at like the overall picture of all the patients that we've helped, we're sitting at 98% of people have reported increased quality of life using full extract cannabis oil from their symptoms and side effects.
That's like literally almost everybody.
Yep. There's 2% that were completely unaffected by it. But that, every cancer is different. So like,
I also feel like that can be a mental aspect too. Like if you're not in the right mindset and believing for your healing, and I feel like a lot of times nothing's going to work for that small portion of people. But no, that's crazy. 98% is a lot. So what is the, I know y'all have a massive paper, the meta-analysis paper that is huge. What are the biggest like takeaways from that paper showing like the outcomes that it's showing with cannabis?
So we actually took both positive and negatives of all the published research out there and combined them together. And even with 10,000, both positive and negative, there's overwhelming research showing that cannabis is successful to help in cancer. I have to be careful about what words I use, but the clinicians would be able to talk a little bit more on that than I can. But
and tell me about the clinicians too, because that's something that you said a lot of programs don't have, but y'all actually have clinicians that they can call. Are these like MDs or like just like who are they and what kind of recommendations are they giving, if you can speak to that?
So we actually work with the Society of Cannabis Clinicians.
Okay.
Collectively, there's over 500 cannabis clinicians in that group. We've had an amazing opportunity to actually be part of their research team, which has been fun. We had this awesome event that we did with them in Colorado last October. Had a blast.
Jim told us a little bit about that.
It was an awesome event. But we pulled some of those members into our advisory board and really had some deep conversations with them because we had concerns. There's this protocol out there, Rick Simpson protocol, that everybody's doing, and it's the start of the grain and rice and take it all the way up to a full gram. Okay, well, they don't tell you in that 1 gram of FECO may contain 300 milligrams of THC, where another gram of FECO may contain 900 milligrams. So it's not a one-size-fits-all, take a gram a day. Like, that's false information.
Yeah.
And the clinicians, we were able to, sit down with them, have real conversations. Like, hey, we want to be able to provide this product for these cancer patients, and we want to be able to do this at a discount, but we also want to cause no harm. And that's their oath, right? Cause no harm. So they're able to take a look at what we're doing and say, hey, this is where we think would be safe for the cancer patient. I'm not licensed to have that conversation with the cancer patient. They are. So one of the beautiful benefits of that is, most oncologists, even if they support the cannabis use, they cannot sit down with you and talk about dosing.
That is wild to me.
Yeah.
I feel like across the board, if you're diagnosed with cancer, here's your card.
I wish it was that way.
Literally, because like you said, the evidence is overwhelming. The endocannabinoid system runs through the whole body. And of course, combining that with frequency treatments like E.R.I.C, and there's a lot of other machines out there too. But I just do not understand when the evidence is showing. And like you said, it's do no harm. It's not hurting them at all. There's no evidence that it causes it. And even if from the medical side, I personally, I don't, and I never say never, but I don't think that I would ever do chemo and radiation for myself. I think it would be, different if it's you're making that decision for somebody else, but I don't think I ever would. But even if I was believed solely in chemo and radiation, and I thought I would say yes, but do it with this to help your symptoms. Take cannabis alongside it. They could still recommend both to help their, like you said, their quality of life. 98% improvement in quality of life. I don't understand what the holdup is.
We're seeing a lot more support in patients that decide to use it, and they're talking to their doctors about it, and they're like, hey, we're not going to tell you no, we'll support you doing that. But they're really uneducated. That's kind of what the problem is, and I think what the holdup is that the clinicians are, there's not a whole lot of education out there on this, and that's something that we're trying to change. Dr. Neil Patel is probably one of my favorite people in the whole world. He, he said he took an oath to do no harm, but then he also took a personal oath to really understand the tools that would be available to help his patients. So he loves nosediving this. Like, he comes to these meetings every week and he is amped and excited to talk about, like, how can we use this cannabis to help the cancer patients, and this is what we think would be safe, and this is what's not safe, and like kind of like debunking some of the information that's out there. And then he has his own social media platform, so he makes videos. He makes videos for us too. They're awesome. Like our newsletter we sent out was like him addressing other clinicians and saying, hey, like, you really need to, you're doing your patients a disservice by not learning this information.
That's true. Yeah.
So he's great.
I feel like, yeah, in so many aspects. I mean, the Bible says my people perish due to lack of knowledge. Like, if you are in an industry, I feel like it's your responsibility to research and continuously, not just like my license requires 20 hours of CEUs. Like, no, like, it's your responsibility to look at everything with an open mind.
Yep.
And in that, but no, that's crazy. And I had a question that I was going to ask you and it just left me. That's my ADD brain. But what other things have you seen outside of cancer? And of course you use it for endo. Have you seen anything else? I know you're solely, like, mostly focused on cancer, but what else have you seen? Probably some crazy stuff.
If you step away from what I do for the program for cancer patients and you go back to, like, when I was talking about, like, the stories that I was collecting, we've seen epileptic patients that are using cannabis and having amazing results. Yes,
I've seen that. I've had several kids that come in with epilepsy, and the two things, of course, you have to get a card and all that in Oklahoma, but I always tell them, like, that's an option. And then a ketogenic diet. That reduces seizures drastically.
Yep.
And I'm always like, those two things first, because when you start detoxing, seizures get worse. Detoxing the brain is hard. And so I'm like, feel like we need to get them to more of a homeostatic state before we start detoxing, because the seizures kind of ramp up in the beginning of detox. But yeah, I had forgotten about that. But yeah, seizures are a great one.
Yeah, that's probably one of the, like, the main ones outside of cancer that I've seen. But I've also seen a lot of people come off of pain medication.
Mm-hmm. The endocannabinoid system chilling out.
That's like one of the big wins. Like, somebody who's been on painkillers forever and watching them finally come off of it and live, like, a different life, and
they can actually function.
Yeah. So with my endo, I was on painkillers for a while, and I found it hard to be a parent. There's actually, like, a lot of trauma that comes with, like, being a patient, and in the end, like, being stuck in that world for 20 years. I've had multiple surgeries.
I was going to say, just to give people perspective, you said you're, like, one of the worst cases in the state, right?
Yeah, so I have endometriosis that's kind of spread body-wide. It didn't stop at the femoral organ, so we're got it on the kidneys and liver and
that is wild.
All over nerves. So, like,
but you're functioning normally and everything's
now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. With the help of cannabis, you're not having. Have you been back to get checked to see if anything's?
Yeah, I actually went back a couple months ago, and for the first time in 20 years, I heard, hey, I don't think we need to do anything this time.
And every time you go, usually they're like, we need to do surgery. Yeah. When was your last surgery?
About 2.5 years. Well, I had a mini procedure done probably about 3 years ago. That one was a mini one. Before that, I had a massive surgery done about 7 years ago. My body ripped organs out of place. So I had a mass on my ovary that got too heavy, fell over onto my colon, grew adhesions, grabbed a hold of my bladder, my stomach lining, and kind of put it all into a ball. And they had to spend several hours separating the organs and putting things back into place. So, I mean, it can be really aggressive.
Yeah.
And really painful. And then there's, tons of scar tissue. So, and then phantom pains, and, you don't really understand what's going on. Like, endometriosis is something that luckily more research is being done on now, but 20 years ago, They told me it was all in my head in the beginning. I'm like,
oh yeah, we hear that a lot.
Yeah, it's all in my head. There's nothing wrong with you. Or the worst one, the hysterectomy cures all. And so,
it doesn't cure it when it's up to your liver.
No.
It can't take all that out.
Yeah. I had a hysterectomy and ended up in a worse condition than when I had started.
So going back to the dosing, so I've always heard a grain of rice too. That's what I told you when we talked before. Like I've always heard use size a grain of rice. So if all the dosing is so different, because a gram you're looking at the weight, but that doesn't tell you the milligrams of the product. So how do you recommend someone start if that is, like false of, dosing or incorrect dosing?
Yeah, so we actually let our clinicians handle this. We luckily, with us providing the full extract cannabis oil, we have all the COAs, so we know what's in the product. We also work with some of the, we're in Oklahoma and we have a program in Colorado, but we also are open to anybody to use our digital tools and access our resources that are not in the States to get FECO. And if they have a full extract cannabis product that they're taking and want help with dosing, as long as they have a COA, the clinicians can take a look at what's actually in the product and tell you what to take based off of the milligrams I think you need for your body.
So explain what a COA is, just for the people that don't understand. It's telling you the milligrams.
Yeah. So that's your test result. That'll have your THC content, your cannabinoid, your terpene profile, and it'll have your the checks for no pesticides and no residuals.
Okay.
The safety of the product.
So whenever they go into the dispensary and pick it up, do they get a COA with it, or does it have a number in it that y'all are referencing to see which product, or that all pretty much the same, the COA the same across the board for the ones that y'all are using?
It kind of depends. Like, so laws are different across different states for one. And some of that's like up to the processor. So some processing companies will put a QR code on their package where you can actually download their COA.
Oh, nice.
It is state law in Oklahoma that if they have a product in a dispensary, the dispensary is required to carry the COA.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yep.
So anybody that goes in to get a full extract cannabis product in Oklahoma can get the COA to be able to see what's in there.
Yep. It's also required for like any of the tracking through the metric system. So they in order to sell a product, you have to have a COA in the system.
Okay.
So there's several different ways that you can acquire it.
Yeah. So if someone has cancer and is wanting to start using FECO, what's the best way for them to get in contact with y'all and get started with that?
So the best way would be to go to ericcancerplaybook.org.
Okay.
And start a playbook. There's several buttons that say start a playbook. They all lead to the same spot. We tried to make that as visible as possible. Yeah. What that will do is open up the profile survey, and that one, you can sign up for the program, you can talk to a clinician, you can benefit from the playbook tools, so you get a bunch of information right there from the beginning. That way you're not like sitting there waiting. The worst thing that happens is like cancer patient comes for help and needs information and they get nothing, right? Like they gotta wait. That's the problem with the medical system, right? Like you find out you've got cancer and now you can't get into the doctors for 8 weeks because they've got this backup, so they're like sitting there like freaked out. So that's what we like to do, is like come in and provide hope. So immediately when you sign up, we will send you successful patient reported outcomes. This is what other patients did that was successful. Here's research backing up the use of this for your cancer. Whether you're battling, what's your goal? Some people come in and they set their goal as, I just want to aid the symptoms that I'm experiencing. And others are like, hey, let's full on battle this cancer.
Full remission. Yeah. So what are some of the craziest stories? I know you'll have some good stories of recoveries.
Yeah. So one of our like favorite stories to tell is actually somebody her son was on a very aggressive chemo. The doctors told her that, hey, he's not going to be doing so well. Don't expect him to have a lot of energy or be up running around and playing. And
this is Keaton Peck, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we just recorded her podcast, so we'll be sure y'all can watch McKenna Peck's podcast for Keaton's story. So
so he took the FECO and she was able to like see him up playing and not having this, the side effects.
Through the Red Devil chemo, which is crazy. The more we talk about cancer, everybody talks about that. And I'm like, that's like the worst.
Yeah.
So bad. But
and he did fantastic through it. Like, she made me cry. Like, she sent me a message. It, like, we the patients fill out their surveys, right? Some of the time, we connect on, it depends on how we met. A lot of cancer patients reach me on social media. They end up adding me as friends. We end up being friends outside of the program too. So she sends me a message and she's like, you're not going to believe this. Like, I was expecting this to be horrible, and he's taking this product. She's like, he walked in there and told his doctor, I'm taking this black medicine for my tummy, and I didn't feel bad at all. I was like, that is amazing. Like,
because she said he like had lost use of like the right side of his body and like couldn't get off the bed, and she gave it to him at night, and he like woke up the next morning and like ran down the stairs to the kitchen, and they were all like, what is happening? He couldn't walk last night.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of my favorite stories, right? Like, and I don't know how many details of that I can share, right? So like, she did come on and do her podcast yesterday. So
she was like, I'm an open book. Yeah.
But we try not to share too much. We also had a lung cancer patient that unfortunately is no longer with us, but we did have some really amazing celebrations when she was here. 80% of her lung was taken over by a mass. They said even with chemo and radiation, they weren't expecting to see that mass disappear at all. And she was on a pretty good regimen of full extract cannabis oil, and we watched that thing shrink. To the point, we watched it shrink to almost to the point it was gone.
That is crazy.
It was amazing.
80% of her lung, 80%, and it was gone.
And it was gone. The doctors were like, what are you taking? We haven't seen, like, we weren't expecting these results, because she was open with them. Like, hey, I'm taking full extract cannabis oil. I mean, this was, in honesty, this was my best friend. So she was quite open with, like, this is the program. This is the person you talk to.
She's, like, promoting it. Yeah, she's like, pitching it to him.
Like, so whenever I was up at the hospital with her, like, they were asking me questions, like, what is this that is going on here? So that was one of the amazing stories. Unfortunately, she did, she was on chemo and radiation, and
it's just hard on them.
Yeah, at some point in time, your body has enough, and the trifecta.
Yeah.
Your liver, heart. Yeah.
Okay. But shrinking it by 80%.
That part was amazing. I mean, like, we celebrated. We thought, we went to, with that came like a pause, right? Like, we were cancer free for a short term. Now it did come back. The type of, she had small cell lung cancer, aggressive. So we knew that even if we got it shrunk with the type of cancer that she had, it's typically an elderly cancer. Like, you don't usually see it in somebody who's in their 40s. They usually see it in like 80-year-old patients.
Yeah. So Jamie, other Jamie, we were talking about how a lot of people, it seems easier to get in remission the first time.
Yeah.
And if people are not so diligent about working on their terrain, keeping their body healthy, cleaning up their diet, like just keeping their terrain, like their body in check, cleaning up their diet, working out, working through trauma, doing all those things, once they relapse, it's so aggressive the second time that the things that cured them the first time don't always work the second time. And that's why I tell people, like, once you hit remission, like, it is just beginning. Like, it is a battle that you'll fight your whole life.
Yeah.
You've got to work on it. You're more susceptible after that. So you have to do things so much differently than everybody else. Like, you can't eat and live like everybody else, or it's going to come back. You have that muscle memory, that cellular memory, and it's much more aggressive the second time.
Usually we try to, like, let patients know that, hey, you even if we're celebrating a victory, we're celebrating a victory. Don't forget to keep that maintenance dose.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, because that's what's going to keep your body in homeostasis. And if you back it off and you go back to everything that you're doing,
yeah,
it could go backwards.
What other things do y'all recommend? Is it just the FECO, or are there other things y'all recommend people bringing in alongside that for their cancer journey? Or y'all just strictly, whatever you're doing, add this in and let's get the outcomes?
I mean, so nutrition is a big deal.
Yeah.
We are exploring like bioresonance and frequency treatments.
Right.
I'm not sure that's something that is readily available right now, but it is in the near future. It is something our team is actively studying, working on, experimenting on ourselves on, looking for patient-reported outcomes, gathering patient-reported outcomes, doing research.
Yeah.
So
the thing that's hard is that the machines are expensive, but once you get it, it doesn't cost you anything, like those treatments. And I wish cost-wise that was something that's more readily available. Like we have a machine here, and it's crazy because most people have never heard of it. They don't know how to utilize it. They don't understand how powerful it is, because like you just sit in front of a light and they're like, that's strange.
Yeah.
But I do see that is something harder to study because it's not readily available unless you literally just like put pop-ups all over for people to go in.
So I thought the same thing until the other day. So the other day, like the light bulb went off in my own head. We're sitting there in the meeting, and he's like, these are all the studies we found. And I'm like, I bet nobody called this bioresonance. I bet nobody called this frequency. I bet they called it something else. Because it's used in Russia.
All the time. That's where a lot of the machines come from over there, yeah.
They, Metatron is what they wrote their stuff on. So it depends on what you look up. And so we started thinking about it, and I was like, what else are they naming this? So we did find some more articles that we were originally not in our wheelhouse, because we didn't think of like,
what else are they calling it? So bioresonance, frequency, those are typically what I hear. And a lot of people just call it E.R.I.C.
So generic. I'm trying to like pull it from my brain
right now. It's like
an
energetic something.
It was something so generic that we were all sitting in the meeting. I'm trying to picture it. I'm so sorry. We were just sitting in the meeting going, seriously?
But then y'all just ended up with a whole lot more data to add.
There's way more data behind that. So like, no, I haven't pulled all that together yet. That's the other side of our team. Ryan Castle, he's
the research
amazing
guy.
Yeah, he's a research guy. Jim has put together one heck of a team, I will say.
Yeah.
And Jim strongly believes he's wanting this to be like a E.R.I.C 420 program, is what he calls it.
I love it.
So he strongly believes in bioresonance and frequency.
I sent him
FECO.
3 machines that I'm looking at, because the E.R.I.C gives frequencies, so for healing, but then the biofeedback machines actually scan your body, see what's in there, and then create a frequency for you. So I sent him 3, and he sent them to his guy, that he's got a guy for everything. And they did like a side-by-side.
That was me.
You? No, he said he was on a Zoom call with somebody, who's the guy over Meta?
So Ryan and Justin started on the project.
So you put together the whole thing, the whole paper he sent me?
We did part of a team, but the one that you saw with the breakdown of yes, and this is what it covers, or no. Yeah, I had hands.
Listen,
in that.
I was like, this is crazy. And I was like, now I want to find each of these machines and I want to try them myself. Because one of them that I was really looking at was great, because then it has like really easy to understand papers to print off for like the clients, where a lot of them are like, the verbiage doesn't even make sense if you're not in the bioresonance world. It's like, I don't understand. And it can be really scary, because it'll say you have a disease, but you don't actually have that disease. It's like the frequency that is in that realm, that range. And then people will be like, oh, I have I'm like, no, that's not what it means.
Well, we were looking at the AM scan, and that's not even in English.
I know.
I was like, we've got this AM scan to play with, and it's not even in English.
Yeah, because so the one of the machines I was looking at comes from overseas. Most of them do, because Americans don't want to use this because it actually cures people. So that takes money out of their pocket. But one of them, if you want to go to their conferences, it's like 5 days, which is a long conference. Like a lot of the conferences I go to are like 2-3 days. 5 days, and it might have been 6, and they were in Turkey and Hungary. Like that was it. Like there was none anywhere else. And I think a lot of it is because if they come here, there's a lot of stuff they can't say.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that they're going to be kicked out of here like real fast.
Yeah.
And over there, like when I was on the call with the lady, she was like, she was from here, but she was like, yeah, over there they can speak freely. They can actually tell you what it can do without being put in this box. And I was like, now I want to go.
It's crazy because they have no problem advertising our medications on TV.
No.
And don't you love how those commercials are? It's like this big presentation, and then, you know, they're required to like now say the side effects, but they say it so fast at the end of the commercial. Like,
they're like running through a park.
yeah,
And it's like, but may cause death.
It's blah, blah, blah. May cause death, may cause swelling, may cause inflammation, may cause
chronic
cancer,
kidney disease
may
and
cause.
heart disease.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And this is just allowed to be on our TVs like this? Because it's not in other countries.
So
New Zealand does, but
we don't watch a lot of TV, and I cannot remember where we were the other day and the TV was on. I might have even been at my parents' house. And I am not kidding. It was like every third commercial. No, we were at a hotel. We were at a hotel. The TV was on. And I was like, every other or every third commercial was a prescription. And I was like, look at the side effects. I need to be taking pictures of these. And it was either the focus right now is biologics. So they're doing all of like psoriasis, autoimmune. It's all these like super expensive drugs that are like $10,000 to $50,000 a dose, you know? And they're advertising all these biologics or they're antidepressants. I'm like, the fact that we're focusing on autoimmunity and mental health, like so much of that stems from our lifestyle too. Like,
well, in the doctors themselves are getting, not all of them, but there are some that are getting like really pushy. So like in my journey, they wanted me to take Lupron injections, and which is a chemotherapy agent that can chemically shut down an organ. It is a very expensive injection, and they wanted me to take it every 3 months until I hit the age of menopause.
It's like chemical sterilization, right?
Yeah.
Every 3 months?
Every 3 months. If you look at the side effects of that, if you've got any family history of osteoporosis or osteopenia, you could end up in a wheelchair by the second dose.
But then you're a patient for them forever.
Yeah. So like you look on my medical record, and both sides of my family have that. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I tell them like, no, like I looked at the medication. I'm sitting in the doctor's office arguing with the doctor. And I'm like, I'm not taking this. Like, look at it says the risk right here. Then you find out the whole story. So they harassed me. I got home. There's class action lawsuits on Lupron. They falsified. Oh yeah, they falsified the results, the success results of the Lupron injection.
So they do that with a lot of medications. So specifically on statins. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are like, oh, there's not any side effects. It just lowers your cholesterol, which it's BS. So what they did in that study specifically is they had a bunch of people come in, and if you had any side effects like muscle weakness, headaches, like anything, they took you out of the study in the early part of the trial and just said you didn't fit the criteria. So their side effects are like very small, because if you had a side effect, they kicked you out of the study. So it's like the results are not even valid because
so frustrating.
Yeah. So early trial, they eliminate anybody with side effects. So that way it shows their side effect list is really small, when I'm like, that's so inaccurate. You literally cut anybody that had side effects. So, and that's, they're all like that.
It really stinks because you have these doctors that sign up to do this, and they have like kind hearts, right? Like they're genuinely joined this field to help people.
Then they get brainwashed.
And then they get stuck in this big hospital system where they are required to push these medications that most of the doctors don't even believe in these medications.
Yeah.
If you pull them off to the side, they wouldn't give their family these medications.
Nope. So I have a nurse practitioner that's a friend of mine. She actually works for us part-time. And she works in a big hospital system. And she loves it here because she used to do whatever she wants. And so when she's, and if someone comes in with, XYZ, you have to give them, for these specific things, you have to give an antibiotic. Like there's no alternative. You can't refer them out to, like a functional practitioner or be like, hey, I know your back hurts. Let's try a chiropractor. Like, no, like you can't. You're put in a box. You're told what to do, and you'll literally lose your job if you don't. So they can't even practice the way that they feel is right unless they're in an independent practice. Well, a lot of these people can't afford to work in an independent practice.
Yep.
Because you have to do full startup. And as you know, like starting a business, you're working a year or two with no salary to get that thing going, and these people just can't do it. So they're stuck in these systems not being able to help people. And so that's why
they also can't talk about cannabis, because
they can't
say no.
Yep. The hospital doesn't allow it. Yep. So it's wild. I wish that, I think that there is a lot of change coming. I feel like COVID did not go the way that the government thought that it would go. I feel like it opened a lot of people's eyes, and now we have this crazy turbo cancer pandemic and all these young people that are getting cancer, and it's horrible. But every time I hear somebody has cancer, the first thought in my head is, did they take the shot?
Yeah. Well, what's even crazier is like we all have cancer cells in our body. Okay. So, they tell you go in and biopsy. That's not always the best option. Like when that cancer's been in your body and you have been kind of living with it, and you go in and cut it open, what do you think is going to happen?
I'm always like, don't biopsy.
It's going to spread.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's like...
They did a autopsy study, which was just, they go in and study bodies after they've passed away. And 100% of the people over age 65 had cancer in their body somewhere. So it just goes to show, like, it is a normal part of the process.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're over-treating.
Yeah.
Because all you need to do is get your body back to homeostasis. Your body can take care of that. And I feel like that's one of the reasons that I'm so against mammograms. They're like, oh, it's early detection. I'm like, y'all are treating people that do not need to be treated. Like, you don't need to be treated for this. Like, it's... And I can't actually, I can't tell people what to do, but I feel like a lot of this is just your body's warning sign. Like, your toxic load is high, your mitochondria function's low, you need to get on a metabolically stable diet, get your stress down. Your body can heal, especially in these early stages, which the autopsy study, a lot of them were early stages. With men, they say a lot of the men had prostate cancer. And that's the term that you hear in the medical system a lot. They'll say a lot of men die with it, not from it. A lot of men don't even know they have it because it's so slow growing and it's just inflammation. And then it turns into cancer, and it's like they're going in and having all these treatments and it's killing them. And if they would have never known they had it, it probably would have been fine.
So we have, we've talked to a lot of people, right? So there's a company called X Cures. There's Relief. There's a couple other ones, and I can't remember exactly which company it was. I want to say it was Relief. Maybe it might have been X Cures. They were able to gather a lot of data, and the success rate of chemo is not very good at all.
It's never gone up since the beginning. It's not improved, like, the survival rate.
When successful, you get maybe 2-3 years left of life on top of that. And it's miserable. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with side effects that whole life. Like, the whole time, you're not getting an increased quality of life.
Yeah.
You're making yourself worse. Like, it would be better to just sit back, in my opinion. I'm not going to tell somebody else what to do.
I know, that's what I keep trying to.
But if I get diagnosed with cancer, I'm not doing chemo and radiation. I'm going to sit back and spend that 2 or 3 years feeling good.
And that's what we talked about.
And take some natural medicines and maybe extend that 2 or 3 years. I'm not doing those treatments that are only going to give me 2 or 3 years of horrible quality of life.
Yeah, because then you feel bad. But there's, we've interviewed several people with, that have been through this journey. And I feel like I say this a lot, but it's like a lot of people look healthy. They feel good. They find out that they have cancer and they're shocked because they're like, I don't feel bad at all. The minute they start treatment, I'm like, you don't just decline because you found out you have it. Like, you know what I mean? You don't go from working and feeling good, you find out you have cancer, and the next week you can't get out of bed. That's not the cancer. That's the medication.
That's the medication. It's also how that doctor approached the situation. So if you go in there saying you've got no hope, and you kill that person's hope and you put them into an overdrive of stress mixed with what they're already going through.
Yeah, and then you can't heal because you're in fight or flight. But no, I feel like the medical system is definitely not set up to help and it's creating long-term patients. One thing in the cancer industry that's wild to me is there's something called, I think it's called IPT. It's like a specific way that they do chemotherapy. So there's lots of studies on this, and MD Anderson was actually in on this study. And if you ask them at MD Anderson, they look like deer in the headlights, like they don't know what you're talking about. I've had 2 people ask them, and they don't know what it is. But MD Anderson was involved. Their name's on the study. They drop your blood sugar really low because they give you sugar for PET scan because the cancer lights up, right? So they know that these tumors and these cancer cells like sugar because it feeds the mitochondria, it helps them grow. So they drop your blood sugar really low. And then they give you like a tenth of the dose. I don't remember. It's like very low dose chemotherapy, and they mix it with glucose. So they're mixing it with sugar. So when they infuse it, these cancer cells suck up the sugar. But when they're doing that, they're sucking up the chemotherapy. So it leaves the rest of the body virtually unaffected. And so you get better outcomes because you're targeting the cancer cells specifically, not wrecking the rest of the body. But why aren't we doing this? If they were actually out to heal people, all chemotherapy should be done that way. If you're going to go the traditional route.
Yeah, I mean, there will be fights on both sides of this, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
There are people out there that are, like, very pro-chemotherapy and...
Well, I mean, in America, we all have freedom of choice. That's why we're sitting here talking about what our choice would be. And I always tell people, I have a lot of clients who come to us that are going through traditional treatment, and they want supplements and things to help boost their immune system and help with the side effects. And I will never tell anybody not to do it.
Yeah.
I just say, you need to do your research.
Yes,
and then if you still feel like you need to do that, but I also tell people, I have a cancer plan written out. It's called If I Get Cancer, and it's a document of what I want done, because fear takes over and then you don't make rational decisions. So I always tell people, like, you need to write out with your rational mind, if I get cancer, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, these are the treatments that I want. So that way, when you get scared and you turn towards your family and you're like, what do I do? They're like, you already know what you're going to do. Here's your, this is what you gave us. This is what we're going to do. And I think having that support system to encourage you to go on the journey that you originally planned on going. I mean, and God forbid, because we hope we never have to use that. But I do think it's smart to write that down and or at least verbally let your family know. Like, right now in my right mind, without the fear, like, I don't want to do that. So, like, hold me to that, you know.
We've had that debate in my family already. I mean, so, you know, my best friend got diagnosed with cancer. And I'm not going to tell anybody not to do what they feel like needs to be done for their treatment. She decided to do chemo and radiation. I had to stand there and support that. Even though I would not have chose that. And she knows it. I told her what I would do, not what she needs to do.
Yeah.
So
that's the verbiage I use with my clients a lot. I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you what I would do.
But that did start the discussion with our family. And, like, Mom's like, well, you would do chemo and radiation if it was you're in the same situation. I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. Like,
yeah.
And she's like, come on, you're telling me that you would just let it take over. And I'm like,
and that's what people think.
Know what you're talking about. Do some more research.
Yeah, people think if you're not doing chemo that you're giving up.
Yeah.
Where
there's so many other options out there.
So many other options, yeah.
So many. Like, change your diet.
That's so big. I'm like, we're eating cancer fueling foods all the time.
There's supplements. There's full extract cannabis oil. There's bioresonance and other frequencies. There's breathworks. There's literally so many options out there to help.
Yeah.
That I don't even know if I would try it as a last resort at this point. Because I don't want to have those side effects.
Because at the point of a last resort, you would already be pretty debilitated, and that's usually typically when your body can't handle it.
Yeah, I'm going to do some mushrooms and enjoy the rest of my time.
I'm going to enjoy the last of my days, yes.
I mean, I believe in them for end of care, and I believe in them for, you know, microdosing for trauma patients.
Brain rewiring.
Yeah, I personally haven't done them because I don't...
You don't feel like you have a reason to?
I don't. Yeah. Well, that and it, you know, my ideal world, if I'm going to do them, I'm going to do them in a controlled area with a clinician next to me and probably somebody else I trust.
And with the microdosing, with the brain rewiring, it's not, typically they don't feel the effects of that because it's low doses and they're taking it to like rewire like through the trauma and stuff that they've had.
But we have heard some amazing stories of cancer patients that use them for end of life. Like,
I think Jim told us one of those. Yeah. Where people just like set up and then they talk and then they pass like so peacefully.
So
it's
peacefully.
Like, yeah. Well, originally, you know, back when we used plants as medicine, they were being explored for like psychosis and things like that. And then people just started abusing them.
Yep.
And you can't profit off of something that you can grow.
Yeah.
So they have to make it synthetic to be able to patent it.
Federally illegal.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if they can't, and then once they make it into something synthetic, then it doesn't work as well. Yeah. Because you don't have all of the stuff in nature that comes with it. So
that's what
I think
they tried to do with Marinol, and Marinol was not.
Yeah. McKenna talked about Marinol
but it
a little bit.
It wasn't your.
It's basically their way of patenting.
Yeah.
Feco.
It's synthetic.
Yeah. Just use the real stuff if you're going to use Marinol. Yeah. I think there are so many people in the older generation that are so against it because that was the big drug era, you know? And so they're so against any kind of drug use, but they'll take pills all day long.
You'd actually be surprised.
Well, I know, like, my parents were on that train for a while.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people that are that way, like, you know, stigmatized. But there are a lot of elderly, we call them OGs. The OGs of the cannabis industry that
they did a long time ago, and now they're coming back around.
Jack Kunkel. I don't know if Jim told you about Jack. Jack is a freaking hoot, man. He is like he's over 70, and he has helped thousands of patients with cannabis, and he saved his own life more than once with cannabis. And he is a hoot, man. Like, he is like pro supporter. There's a couple other ones that I don't know how many names I can name drop, but there's a couple other ones that were that way. Jim's in particular, Corey Ellen was one of Jim's mentors, and Pamela David Hames was one of Jim's mentors, and then Jack. Corey and Pamela have passed, but we were able to gather a lot of their knowledge before they did. So that's kind of what our chat OG, like, so on our ER.I.C Cancer Playbook webpage, there's a bot in the bottom corner that you can go talk to, and it's like patient-reported outcomes that were collected. Some of these are by these OGs that have been doing this and helping patients for years. And you wouldn't believe how many cancer patients that are in their 70s or late 60s that are on the program.
So, anything else that you want to leave for the audience? And
yeah, if you're a cancer patient looking to try full extract cannabis oil, we strongly encourage you to visit ER.ICcancerPlaybook.org, get in contact with us, fill out a playbook, explore the options, talk to one of the clinicians. You don't have to take our word for it. There's medical professionals available to have conversation with, and see if this would be something that would help, whether you're looking, you know, set your own goal, whether you're wanting to do this to battle your cancer, or if you're just looking for support in side effect and symptom aid. There's options out there that are not going to come with a mile long list of side effects.
Yeah.
To help.
And they can reach out and get information and not be, just because they reach out for information doesn't mean they have to take it. But
Absolutely.
Just connecting and getting the information so they can make a decision. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.